Listening Library presents The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody Collection, Books 1 through 7, featuring Hotel Hangout, adapted by Kitty Richards, Double Trouble, adapted by N.B. Grace, Room of Doom and Zack Attack, adapted by M.C. King, Check It Out and Side by Side, adapted by Beth Beechwood, Star Crazy, adapted by Laurie McElroy. Read for you by Andrew Eiden.
Hotel Hangout. Chapter 1. Zack and Cody Martin had a new home. An amazing new home, in fact. They were living in the Tipton, the swankiest hotel in all of Boston, Massachusetts. Their mother, Carey, had recently been hired as the singer in the hotel's ballroom. As part of her contract, she and her 2 sons got to live rent-free in a suite on the 23rd floor. Zack and Cody were twins. They looked almost exactly alike. Same height, same blonde hair, same blue eyes. But it was easy to tell them apart because they were very different. Zack, as he liked to remind his brother as often as possible, was the oldest, by 10 full minutes. He was the fun-loving brother who liked to dress like a skateboarder in long shorts and cool shirts. Zack liked having fun, and he didn't mind if he got into trouble having it. It was almost impossible to get him to study unless he was chained to his desk. Cody, on the other hand, was kind of preppy. He liked button-up shirts, vests, and sweaters. Cody was the more serious twin. He was better organized, studied harder, and took life a little more seriously than his twin. Which twin was most likely to bring home an A+ on his spelling test? Cody. Which twin was most likely to get in trouble for putting goldfish in the Tipton sterling silver punch bowl? Zack. But there was one thing that they both agreed on. Living in the Tipton was totally awesome. Room service, a rooftop pool with a jacuzzi, a candy counter in the lobby, a game room in the basement. If only they had some friends to share it with. Today the twins had decided they were going to find themselves some friends at the park. There was just one problem. They had no way of getting there. "Mom, why can't you drive us to the playground?" Cody asked for what seemed like the 100th time that afternoon. Carey sighed. "Because I have to rehearse new choreography for my next show," she explained patiently. "Mr. Mosby thinks I need some younger moves." Mr. Mosby was the manager of the Tipton Hotel, and he was also Carey's boss. He liked things in his hotel to be just so, and if he said that Carey needed some younger moves, then she needed to find some younger moves pronto. To illustrate her point, Carey attempted her version of a younger move. Zack and Cody's mom may have looked hip with her choker, spiky hair, jeans, and high-heeled boots, but her moves were anything but. Doing a modified moonwalk across the lobby's polished floor, she spun her arms, looking like a spastic windmill. The boys winced. "What do you think?" she asked her sons. The boys didn't bother lying. "I think you should never do that in public," replied Zack. "Or in private," added Cody. Carey smiled at her boys. Then she changed the subject. "Why don't you guys invite over some friends from school?" she suggested. "That's a great idea," said Cody sarcastically. Zack rolled his eyes. "Too bad we don't have any. Nobody ever likes the new kids." Carey looked sad for a moment, then brightened. "Come here," she said. She leaned over and kissed each twin on the cheek. "You'll make friends soon. We're here to stay now." The boys grinned. "Not if you use those moves," replied Zack. Zack began to imitate his mom's move, heading backward across the lobby, waving his arms around. He accidentally knocked into the table by the hotel entrance. On that table sat a fancy Asian vase. Zack, Cody, and their mom stared in horror as the vase teetered and began to fall over. Just when it was about to crash to the floor, Esteban, the bellhop, made a spectacular diving catch and landed on his back, the vase safely in his arms. Saved by the bellhop. Mr. Mosby rushed over. "Impressive catch, Esteban." Esteban stood up. "If you thought that was impressive, Mr. Mosby, watch this." He flipped the vase in the air. "Hey!" cried everyone in horror. Esteban caught the vase and held it up to his ear like the world's largest conch shell. "Ooh, I can hear the ocean," he said with a wide grin. Let me hear," Zack and Cody cried. They had forgotten all about the playground. Life at the Tipton tended to do that. There was always something going on to distract you. Chapter 2. Maddie and London were like the twins, that is, very different. During the day, Maddie was a hard-working, down-to-earth, straight-A student. After school, she was a hard-working, part-time employee of the Tipton Hotel, where she worked behind the candy counter and occasionally babysat Zack and Cody. Then there was London. London Tipton, that is. Her father owned the hotel, and she lived in a lavish suite. London was a bit of a spoiled princess who loved clothes and accessories more than anything. The two girls pretended not to get along, and sometimes they actually didn't, but despite their many differences, they really were good friends. That evening, Maddie and London were chatting at the candy counter. Maddie was working, as usual, and London was about to go out, as usual. London was dressed to kill, in pink pants, a silky patterned halter top, pink heels, sparkly pink hoop earrings, and an armful of gold bangles. Just then, Mr. Mosby walked up to the counter. "London, I need to speak with you," he said. "Not now, Mosby," said London. "I'm off to a gala premiere." She tucked her pink purse under her arm and strode off, only to find herself spinning back around when Mr. Mosby grabbed her arm. "Oh, no, you're not," Mr. Mosby said seriously. "I just received a fax from your father. You are to cease all social activities until your grades improve." Mr. Mosby took his job very seriously and spoke in a very no-nonsense manner. And he was especially serious about orders from his boss. London's face fell. "That is so unfair. I have to keep my grades up, but his new wife is allowed to drop out of college?" Mr. Mosby made a sympathetic face, but didn't give up. "He also insisted I hire you a tutor." London shook her head. "When is he going to realize that education and me just don't mix?" Maddie, who was in the middle of ringing up a sale, cleared her throat. "Education and I?" she corrected. London looked at her friend in disbelief. "Hello," she said. "This isn't about you." Maddie rolled her eyes and turned back to her customer. "Okay, that's $9.12, minus your 8% senior discount, is..." She paused for a moment as she did the math in her head. $8.38, out of 10, she said, accepting the bill. $1.62 is your change. She rattled off as the cash register spooled out the receipt. Maddie Fitzpatrick, human calculator. Mr. Mosby couldn't believe his ears. He grabbed the receipt. "You beat the cash register." He noticed a book on the counter and picked it up. "And you read," he squealed. He turned to London and gestured toward Maddie. "Maddie can be your new tutor." Both London and Maddie's jaws fell open. "What?" they cried. Maddie shook her head. "There isn't enough money in the world," she pronounced, turning back to the register. But Mr. Mosby wasn't letting the human calculator get away. "I'll pay you triple your salary," he responded. Maddie thought for the briefest of moments, then turned to London. "Apparently there is enough," she said. The next day after school, Zack and Cody were, as usual, by themselves in the schoolyard. They watched enviously as groups of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?